both BJP and DMK are in a hurry to build a narrative because they have nothing else to talk about. The welfare of the people have been taken the back seat.
Vajpayee did it, own same BJP Prime Minister. So by now you should have brought up an amendment saying we don't want to punish the states. But now you are hinting directly.
A new political party comes from nowhere with an actor at the helm. A lot of people would simply support that party. They are not really going into federalism.
And suddenly now a set of politicians come and say, look, let's produce more children. I mean,
hello and welcome, I'm Vijay Srinivas and welcome to The Perspective. India is on the brink of a federal deadlock as South CMs up the ante against the centre's delimitation move. The Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, M.K. Stalin, is leading the charge as he termed the centre's delimitation move a Damocles sword hanging on the South. In a massive show of strength against the BJP, M.K. Stalin has called for a joint action meeting in Chennai on 22nd, where Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan, Telangana CM Revanth Reddy and Punjab CM Bhagwant Mann Singh are expected to attend. Karnataka's Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivkumar will also be present along with other party leaders of the India bloc. Joining me to discuss more on this is Mr. Delimitation of the DMK, spokesperson of the AIADMK Mr. Kovai Satyan, and political commentator Mr. Badri Sheshadri. Also with me is our editor-in-chief Mr. Srinivasan. Gentlemen, welcome. Thank you very much. Let me begin with Srinivasan sir first, who could set the context for this discussion today. But I want to make an announcement for our viewers that the Federal has been at the forefront of covering the delimitation debate, and we are running a text and video part series. Log on to the www.thefederal.com for more on this. Sir, let me begin with you there. Clearly there is the war of words. It's heating up, and what do you think delimitation will alter India's federal balance?
see, the whole thing would not have been a controversy if the census exercise was going in normal times, and the whole exercise was as it used to be in the past. In the 1950s, in 1951 was the first census, then followed by 1961. Every decade, a decadal number of head count was happening. But all this changed in 1971 when Mrs. Gandhi decided that the census and the delimitation, it should be based on the population, and since the population control is required at that point of time, to strike a balance between what she thought was between democracy and federalism, she thought it should be frozen, and 42nd Amendment was brought, and it was frozen till year 2000. But what happened after year 2000 was another amendment was made again, that was 82nd Amendment. I think no, it's 84th Amendment. It was frozen till 2026. So normally this whole debate would have started again, the first census after 2026, which should have been taken for delimitation. But what happened was we faced an unprecedented situation all over the world where we are all struck by COVID. As a result of that, 2021 census could not be held. Now there is no clear direction from the government when it is going to hold that, and therefore all this uncertainty has surrounded, because a lot of expectation that what will happen in 2026, because the timing of the freeze gets over by then. But the next census due otherwise is 2031. So ideally some people would have argued that this whole question should have come after that. But because for this 5 year, what will happen to the delimitation, therefore the question has arisen and many political parties have begun to raise. And there is of course an added element, Tamil Nadu is in the forefront as you correctly said, is also because between now and next year 2026, Tamil Nadu is also facing elections. So it's a crucial year for Tamil Nadu, and 2026 is also crucial for the delimitation process. So that's why you're seeing a lot of heat, and I'm sure all our political friends will give their perspective to make us understand the situation.
That's right. I'm going to take this forward with Mr. Delimitation of the DMK there. The DMK is calling for a 30-year status quo on this issue, right? And we understand there is clear underrepresentation in the parliament. Currently, if you see one MP, India's population is right now at 1.4 billion people. One MP represents 2.5 million people. But initially, according to the constitution there, that was capped, the ratio was capped at 750,000 people per MP, right? So, I mean, why do you think that system should be unchanged?
No, see, the problem is we have to go look at the history. The Article 82 and 81(3) mandates that the constituencies be redrawn based on population after every decadal census. It was put on freeze in 1976 simply because of the family control policy introduced by Indira Gandhi. So, Indira Gandhi did not want to disincentivize states that were efficient in population control, because back then it was very desirable for the country, because there was a population explosion. It was not sustainable. So, demarcation of constituencies based on population was put on freeze for 25 years, and then Vajpayee also understood this is a Pandora box that should not be opened. So, he extended the freeze for 25 years because he knew it was unjust otherwise, because the southern states and several other states were very efficient in population control. For example, TFR rate of Tamil Nadu right now is 1.6 to 1.7 below replacement level. That is the same for most South Indian states as well as West Bengal and so on and so forth. On the other hand, TFR rate, total fertility rate for Uttar Pradesh stands at 2.6 and Bihar at 3, which means if delimitation happens now, which means if you do not freeze it for another 25 years or 30 years, what will happen is that constituencies will get reduced. This time the proportion of representation from Tamil Nadu will reduce from 7.18% to 5%. Not just that, because their TFR rate is 3 and our TFR rate is below replacement level, the population in Tamil Nadu will keep reducing, population in the Hindi belt will keep increasing, which means that percentage of seats will keep reducing from 5% to 3.5% to 3%. Based on my calculation, entire south of India represents about 25% of the current parliament. Now, after this redrawing based on population, it will reduce to 17%, but in 2041 it will reduce to 13%, and by 2050 it will become 10%, because entire population of south of India is below replacement level. This is an important point. But you raised a question in which you say, but that is fine, but then in Tamil Nadu a parliamentarian represents about 15 lakh people, in Uttar Pradesh he represents about 30 lakh people, and probably a parliamentarian in Sikkim represents only 6.5. But that is a valid question, but why should the south be disincentivized? Because we followed the union. So, there are other solutions. So, other solutions, one of which I have written in my article, is that why don't you just multiply the existing seats in every state by 4, because Britain, being a country of just 8 crore people, has about 600 odd parliamentarians. So, when you increase it by 4, let us say the number of parliamentarians, right, like number of people a parliamentarian represents in UP, in the most densely populated constituency, will become 8 lakh, and probably in Tamil Nadu it will become 4 lakhs, and then probably in Kerala it will become about 3 lakhs. So, that's a solution, no? Multiply by 4 for every state. That is, in total we have about 2000 odd parliamentarians. But the problem here is, unlike a one nation one election bill, or unlike a WAF bill, it is not a bill that has to be introduced. The Article 82, Article 81.3 is embedded in the constitution. It has only been given a freeze by amendment. So, if amendment is not immediately introduced by December 31st, 2025 and January 1st, 2026 will happen, what will happen is that the delimitation will have to happen, a delimitation committee will be set up, and the delimitation committee's decision is not even under the purview of the court, because the court will simply say the article is there. So, here if the status quo will continue, then delimitation based on population happen. So, we are nudging the union government to change the status quo, right, to bring about a freeze. So, the freeze is 30 years is one solution. Second solution is put a temporary freeze, bring all the states to discussion. This is not a decision in which you are going to introduce a bill. So, unless we agree it will not happen, no, it is going to happen. So, you first put a temporary freeze for some years, and then that freeze will continue unless all the states come to a consensus. What is wrong with that? Then we can discuss about multiplying it by 4, or bringing every subject to the state list except foreign policy and defense. There are other things that could be discussed, not a majoritarian decision, but a consensus based decision with all states could be decided if we bring to discussion. But to bring about a discussion, we at least need a temporary freeze.
That's right. Okay. Let me bring in Mr. Satyan here as well. You know, so you have taken pot shots against the Chief Minister, but you did take part in the all-party meeting hosted by him in Chennai a couple of weeks back. You know, what is your position?
We took part.
Yeah. So, what is your position on the delimitation debate there?
Yeah, we took part. Even we made our points.
Okay. So, why do
We
you
wanted
think the status quo should
that to be
actually continue
incorporated in the resolution adopted by DMK, but it was intentionally omitted. So, let me summarize for you.
Okay.
Any action that results in giving away the rights of Tamil Nadu and Tamil people, AIADMK will be the first party to fight and retrieve it, and the history will vouch for it. And whatever rights DMK had given away, starting from Kaveri, NEET, the protected agricultural zone, Name it any event that has resulted in giving away the rights of Tamil Nadu. AIADMK is the party which has stood by the people of Tamil Nadu and retrieved it for them. Having said this delimitation talk which is going on right now, I would put it in this way. Both BJP and DMK are in a hurry to build a narrative because they have nothing else to talk about. The welfare of the people have been taken the back seat. For them, what is important is the political narrative that will fit in their kitty for the 2026 upcoming assembly elections. It is not something new that has come out immediately that 2026 delimitation is going to start. It was decided 25 years back. Now, what is more important is, if DMK wants to set the tone, prevention is better than cure. Has it gone well with the people? My answer is no, because the people's issue and priorities are something else and something different. What you want to foresee after 5 years, have you taken the right call at the right moment? The answer is zero, because what people want today is peace. There is a lawless in the state and there is inflation. There are other perennial issues which a common man is fighting day in and day out in Tamil Nadu. So, let us understand your leaders, one of the leadership qualities is to foresee things which might affect after a couple of years time. If the total fertility rate in Tamil Nadu is on a declining trend, and what is the need for calling to increase the population by both father and son? Doesn't it clearly indicates that what are all your priorities and how you want to address the problem? We from AIADMK went to the meeting and gave a clear-cut understanding of the issue. What my friend Salem said, Dharnidharan said is what we said in the meeting. Our representation is, proportion is 7.18%. We also said, don't change the number, keep the number as it is. Even if required, please don't change 543, keep it as it is. Delimitation, if you want to view it in the spectrum of population, that's what not we are for. We would call it territorial reallocation. That's what it is boiling out to be. So, don't change the numbers. Even if there to be something to be done, don't change the proportion, which means that if the number of MPs are going to be increased, the proportion of 7.18 for Tamil Nadu doesn't change, which will give us the due share in the longer run. That's what we suggested, and we requested the DMK to incorporate this in their resolution, which was intentionally omitted. We know whenever we are addressing a problem, we don't vote bank politics on that, we don't play that. What we look forward is to give a solution from our end, which can be debated, which can be discussed. That's what AIADMK is for. Any issue, it is not something to do with vote bank politics like DMK.
I think you made an interesting point that inside the meeting, AIADMK did support DMK or the resolution, which is in the interest of Tamil Nadu, which is the correct position, which is what we got to know outside also. But when your spokesman came outside, the position he took was that, which you said later, that the focus currently seemed to be more on immediate political issues of coming elections, and they are not focusing on the core issue. That's what the spokesperson said. Now, obviously, both AIADMK, DMK want to take a similar stand, but seem to be a slight difference in the nuances. Don't you think that there are two sets of issues? One is long-term issue, which is what the delimitation seems to be, and the other one is price rise and other things, which are immediate issues. Are you, as a responsible political party, not making a distinction between the two? Of course, what you are saying is, I do agree the 2026 elections are coming, and therefore the megaphone is far more louder than, you are hearing a much more louder voice. But isn't, on the other hand, you should see this as a long-term issue for Tamil Nadu?
So, our biggest concern, we want to say it in this way. People have elected a government. So, the government acts on misplaced priorities is what our first point is. So, whatever action that has been taken from the DMK front seems to be like they want to run away to hide their incompetence in their governance. Let me give you an example of double standards. You say a leader, that's what I said, a leader's acumen or leader's trait is to see in a long term basis what could affect the state, and he could take a call to protect them. If that statement were to hold good for MK Stalin, a council of ministers went to Karnataka, extended an invitation to DK Shivakumar to come and attend the meeting on 22nd on this delimitation exercise. Can you cite one example? When did MK Stalin send a council of ministers to Karnataka and raise this voice against Meghdadu?
Yeah,
DK Shivakumar, no, I'll finish.
Yeah.
DK Shivakumar announced 9,000 crores earmarked for Meghdadu. Stalin remained quiet. He said 3 places are earmarked for the construction. Stalin remains quiet. And 10 days, 2 weeks ago, Shivakumar, the chief minister, makes an announcement in the assembly, Karnataka assembly, that we are just waiting for the approval, then we will start. That's where Duraimuran comes out and says, nothing can happen. They can't even move a brick. But a Stalin can send a representative of ministers and go and meet Karnataka stating that it affects the rights of Tamil Nadu people, come let's join and unite together. Isn't this responsibility or isn't this expected from an elected person who heads the chair as chief minister to raise his voice against to protecting the interest of the people of Tamil Nadu? That's what we say.
Right.
All this exercise seems
one
to give a
minute,
picture, it is an enacted drama.
Yeah, right, your point well taken, Kovai Satyan, you are raising these issues. I think we will have more debates, especially on the river water and all those things. We will meet again. Currently, we are discussing delimitation, and I would request you to, what will happen is otherwise we will start discussing all around all these issues, then it becomes DMK versus AIADMK. The bigger issue here, as we have framed today, is to discuss delimitation.
Sir, I understand.
So, we will certainly do that.
No,
we are not
I am not trying to
moving
take
away
away
from
the
that.
core debate topic.
Yeah.
All I am trying to say is, we duly represented, we made our point. That was not incorporated in the final resolution
Exactly.
which
So
DMK
that's the point
took.
I'm
That's the
coming
point
to.
which I want to
That
say.
I'm coming to.
And since you raised a question,
Yeah.
isn't it something different once your person came out and gave a media bite, it was different. We want to highlight, yes, it looks like it's a drama being enacted deliberately. It is not meeting the purpose of the whatever it has been called for. That's what we say. We work towards a solution. We as a principal opposition, as a responsible opposition, want to give a solution to the issue which
Right.
you have called for a meeting.
So, allow me to take
And
that
that's what
question
we
to him,
wanted to highlight to the people. If the intent were to be good, Stalin could have said or team could have said, this was the thing suggested by AIADMK, this is where we see the merits or this is where we see the demerits, that's why it was not incorporated. Rather than simply painting a narrative where we have passed a resolution, all party meeting is called for, delimitation exercise is not required, that will not give you the result. That's not what you call for a meeting.
Okay, so let me ask Mr. Dhananjay of the DMK a quick reaction on what he said. He says it's an orchestrated event of sorts.
See, firstly and foremost, I will just take 30 seconds to rebut on certain points which is maybe deviating from the topic, but I think the matter will settle there because as a spokesperson I'm compelled. So, the fact of the simple matter is that when when AIADMK and BJP in alliance for about 5 years, some 17 to 22, and it was the stone for Meghdadu was decided then. From DPR, sanctioning of DPR and the final budget prepared by the BJP government was the one which sanctioned money for Meghdadu, and they were all in alliance then. If at all they had a problem, they would have left the alliance then, protesting. But now we have made it very clear this is not going to build because consensus of both states are needed, so it's not going to happen. But the stone was laid during the previous regime. So this, as a spokesperson, is my responsibility to say. But then also Kovai Satyan, when he spoke, he says why now delimitation is a far-sighted issue. It's not a far-sighted issue because it is clear designed by the BJP to gerrymander the constituencies that favor them. As we all know, there are certain constituencies which favor the BJP. If you go by 2019 elections, the 90% of the existing parliamentarians came from 8 states, and these are exactly the states where which are going to gain if delimitation based on population will happen. Second hunch is that in 2001 freeze, it was clearly said delimitation will happen after 26, after the next census. So, if the census has happened in 21, delimitation can happen only after the 31 census, which is for the 34 election. But because they haven't done census, India is the only democratic country to have not done census, pending for more than 3-4 years. COVID got over in 22. So, why is because after 26 they want to get the census result out, so that they can redraw the constituencies based on population. And this is not just the DMK took up the matter, the leading in media houses in the world, across the world, took this matter up even 2 years back itself. The first article I wrote on delimitation was 2 years back. So, which means as a spokesperson we have taken this issue up, but we are all waiting that they will bring about some amendment. Is only hints were given by the union government that number of parliamentarians will increase, but here though they can come and tell people that no, you don't know how the redrawing will happen, but it's very clear in the constitution which says 82, 81.3 that it has to be based on population unless you explicitly bring about something.
First is, I think you should answer this question. In the resolution, what happened? Did you include AIADMK's point of view or not? I think it's an important point. If a party is supporting you, why not take that along and then say that all party here includes this? I haven't read the resolution, but if he's saying, I'm sure he's a responsible spokesperson, he's saying that. So, what happened in the resolution? Did you include that or not? That's one question. Second is, it's very disingenuous for the politicians to come and say, look, population control should be there because demography is getting out of control. In 1971, Indira Gandhi orders population control. As a result of the forcible conversion which happened, and a lot of, you know what happened following emergency and all those things. And suddenly now a set of politicians come and say, look, let's produce more children. I mean, see, just because your argument is where you need more electorate for favoring you so that you get a better electorate, they are not supposed to be giving such suggestion, isn't it? After all, for the economy on the whole, demography is a very important thing. So why deal with this such public messaging which seems very put it very harshly, very frivolous?
No, I'll answer your last question first and then the first question last. So because see, this is also very interesting debate, but the similar countries in European Union, right, which have TFR rate of 1.5, 1.6, have policies that incentivizes parents to have more children.
Right.
In fact, there's a dole out of about 1,000 euros in countries like France per child after one child. So you can't entirely say it's a bad policy, but was that an explicit policy recommendation by my chief minister or the deputy chief minister? It is not. It was a political satire implying the union government. As a politician, there are different ways in which you tackle issues. So in which it is also a way of seeking justice. Listen, 76,
so
we rigorously followed
messaging. Okay.
Right from 89 when DMK was in power, we followed it. Even AIADMK was religiously following that policy. 96, we followed that policy, and 2006 we followed that policy. Now Vajpayee did it, same BJP prime minister. So by now you should have brought up an amendment saying we don't want to punish the states. But now you are hinting directly. What are the hints? You have delayed the census. Gerrymandering, what have you done in Jammu and Kashmir? Increase the proportion of seats in Jammu and reduce the proportion of seats in Kashmir. So intention is clear. And Prime Minister again said that he is going to increase the number of seats in the parliament. So increase the seats, no amendment in place, census has not taken place because he wanted to do it before 29 elections. So it's clear gerrymandering suspicion. So now Prime Minister can come and say in the parliament, we are going to put a temporary fees. An amendment will be brought about for a freeze of about 25 years. Why have they not come? So going to your first question, see, if at all something like that has happened, why hasn't the AIADMK given any official statement on this matter that a resolution was not given? This is an official statement. No, in press meet they didn't say it. No, after coming out in the press meet they could have reiterated it. In the press meet which was given, even Patali Makkal Kachi leader Ramdas came and reiterated his stance where he doesn't want the proportion to be reduced. Here, as you asked the question, the position was different when they came out. When they came out, they could have clearly said, this is what we want. We support the DMK. Okay. We don't know why the DMK has not included us in the resolution. They can come and say we agree with the DMK. Fine. Right? They could have come and said.
Yeah, I think you seem to open to it.
That's right. I wanted to bring in Mr. Badri Sheshadri there. So we see a lot of conversation that's building up around delimitation there, but we haven't been able to hear from the horse's mouth the BJP here.
I am not representing BJP.
That's right. No, I'm asking about the BJP there, except for the fact that Home Minister Amit Shah has sort of allayed sort of fears, saying that it'll be done on a pro rata basis and no seat will be lost for the southern states here. Don't you think that the Bharatiya Janata Party has got a moral responsibility to sort of address the trust deficit that is built between the states and the centre as a political commentator?
Absolutely. It is now very clearly in BJP's court to respond to what not just DMK but all the Tamil Nadu political parties are demanding. Right? Are you going to do delimitation? If so, in what manner? Are states going to lose? Are you going to get some special advantage and so on? So this is important. It's important for BJP to come out quickly and come up with the at least allay the fears. It's really important. But I also want to touch upon certain things related to that. Right? Dharanidharan pointed out very clearly that the requirement for delimitation is already embedded in the constitution. So, if you do not bring an amendment, you have to act on it. But to act on it also requires a series of administrative moves. A delimitation commission has to be set up, members have to be appointed, very specific reference to be given to them in terms of what they need to do, by when, etc. And we do not see any action happening there, and you can't just like that, whatever happened in Kashmir cannot happen here, right. We will have so many constituencies awarded to Uttar Pradesh and so many here, etc. That is not that simple. Okay. The last 50 years if you take, we are all used to not making any change in the system, right. It is possible for us to completely remove that delimitation related requirement from the constitution totally, subject to all political parties agreeing to it and the courts also agreeing that it is not necessarily part of the basic framework of the constitution, and instead say that as and when parliament desires delimitation, you can do so. That way this problem will not happen, right. You come and say something now, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years after also you are going to have this problem. We will have different fertility rates, right. Things may have changed, but somebody or the other will feel that they are at a disadvantage, right. We are now very politically aware. You just move back pre emergency, no one seems to have made any complaint whatsoever. I was just trying to find out, something was there in the constitution. Just for a minute imagine that emergency happened, but not this particular focus on family planning and no freeze on delimitation. Delimitation would have, census would have continued, delimitation would have continued, and nobody would be making a big issue today, because it is a slow dose of poison. Even if it is, people would have accepted it, but it is a freeze over approximately 50 years that makes you look at it and say we all have differential fertility rates and we will have political loss if we go through this route. Something similar happens in the US, right. Every 10 years the House of Representatives seats keeps changing related to population, right. For example, California with about 10 seats, 10 representatives ended up with some 40 plus in the last delimitation, and it is going to fall a little bit. Nobody questions anything there, also because that language issue and the rigidness of the state post linguistic state formation, that is not there.
Gerrymandering happens very frequently.
Gerrymandering happens left, right and center within. Redistricting is common. I am not even getting into, right now the problem of gerrymandering is less of an issue. It is a number of constituency increase or decrease and the proportional representation therefore or reduction of that, which is a problem, right. In the US, a Californian simply moves to Texas and he is a Texan, or you move to New York and you are a New Yorker, right. Here the Tamil identity and the Kannada identity does not vanish just because they move around, because it is not based on the residence but on the language they speak. That is at the heart of all these problems.
Another complexity is added because of language, division of states on the basis of language.
Exactly, that is what I said.
But are you then trying to suggest, like it happened in the US, why not just have parliamentary seats frozen and then you work around with assembly segments?
Exactly.
Assembly seats.
Right. So, there are two things, I have written and also spoken about this.
But sorry, here you are not representing BJP, but of course you would subscribe to right wing opinion.
Not necessarily on every point.
Not necessarily on every point, but here what my question is, you yourself said transparency would have helped much more. The
Correct.
Same Home Minister, instead of just saying pro rata basis, if he had articulated what it means,
Correct.
it wouldn't have given so much an opportunity
Absolutely.
for a political
discussion. If they had come out
here.
and said, even like we do not know, we do not have a clue right now, but do not worry, nothing is going to happen for the next 5 years, or certainly 2026 nothing is going to happen, we can all have comfortable Tamil Nadu election, there is no issue here, right. I do not think, personally from what I can observe, I do not think BJP has a plan in hand with respect to delimitation, right. They can very well win without reducing Tamil Nadu's position any further or Kerala's number of seats any further, because that is what they have been doing in the last 3 years, last 3 elections, right. It is not really important to somehow take away some 5 seats from Tamil Nadu in order to win the parliament, right. But I do not think they seem to have any kind of clarity, and even if something has to be done, a lot of officials will have to be involved, secrecy is not possible, a lot of details will come out, a lot of representations from states will happen. But I have all the respect for DMK in raising this issue, making other states understand this, make more sensible representation and go to the center demanding that they answer these fairly difficult questions immediately.
So, the census will come in first and then followed by?
No, both, I mean whatever sense, the census is a fact. We already we know for a fact that the population of various states, Google gives you a projection, we have pretty much some data, it needs to be reconfirmed with a proper census. Delimitation is the issue, right. Delimitation is a outcome that has to be done after official census is given. We know that our population is roughly about 150 crores. Every state, what is its current population, roughly we have idea.
Anyway, okay, so I wanted to bring in Mr. Dharanidharan here.
Can I?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Because you asked a question to my opposition party DMK, I know you did not get the answers. We proposed to have this minuted in the resolution that is passed by DMK when the all party meeting was called. Please do not change the proportion of Tamil Nadu. My friend Selam Dharanidharan here questioned us, saying that why didn't the person who came out and gave a press meet didn't insist on this. Let me show you for this. This was the press meet given after we attended the deal.
To help our audience, why don't you just say it in English?
So, our standpoint is very clear. The proportion of Tamil Nadu present stands at 7.18%. Don't change the numbers.
Yeah.
Keep it as it is. Whatever excess you want to take it forward, our proportion should not change. We didn't insist on numbers of 40. We didn't say let the 40 stay as it is, because then they will take it as a point. 40 is what we want to do. Other states have increased. So, we clearly said 7.18 is a proportion what we are at today. Don't change it. So, for the records, let me brief my friend Selam Dharanidharan, who says they have not stated it. So, whenever DMK is cornered, I know they will have countered with a bag full of lies.
Okay,
the point here is, if delimitation exercise as stated by MK Stalin were to take away 8 MP seats of Tamil Nadu, we are in support with MK Stalin that we will not let that happen. That is point number 1. The point number 2, so what is next? What is the solution? Has DMK given the solution to the people? The answer is no. So, what is the way forward and what could be a feasible and workable solution for state as well as center is, do not change the proportion, keep it as it is.
You would like this freeze to continue for another 20-25 years or till the population stabilizes?
That is what Amit Shah also said, right. Now, he cannot backtrack on his words. It is on a pro rata basis. I would say you call it as pro rata, I call it as proportion, right. You want to increase it to 843, our proportion is 7.18%, I will get 71 MPs.
Yeah,
that's
but
what
there is, no, then the equation also changes. I don't know what's the midpoint of the winning thing would be. Will it be proportionately?
That's precisely what we wanted to highlight, saying that.
So, if what happens is the representation, the political power of southern states, will it reduce? That's the next question.
No, therefore that also we stated in the meeting, saying that if you are so seriously concerned about increasing the numbers, that for us is not the priority. Not only this 40, keep 543 as it is. Rework your territory, geographical realignment based on that. That is what we also said in the meeting. Right. We gave a solution for Tamil Nadu. If you want to scratch your head saying that how is it possible, we have to change the 543 numbers, I say do not take decision on 543, keep it as it is.
Yeah, but there seems to be, like he correctly said, there is a question of trust deficit. Why don't, I mean, he has been pointing out there are many other issues which Tamil Nadu is constantly raising, and one issue is this trust deficit. And then you also have a fact of you actually have increased the, you have a new parliament which can accommodate a lot more Lok Sabha members than what it is. So, already that is why, is that a thing which is planned? That is a question also which will come in many people's mind.
That is what my opening remark was. This is not something surprise or new. May 28th, 2024 was the new parliament which was opened and it had the seating capacity of 1000. So, everybody knows that the direction of the central government is they want to increase the number of MPs. It is not us who ignited the fire, it was MK Stalin who came out and said delimitation is going to take away 8 MPs, while there was nothing from the center. So he has pinned the narrative state rights. History will say nothing has to do with state rights. DMK and state rights are poles apart. They have nothing to do with retrieving state rights. They are only known to give away state rights
Okay,
of Tamil Nadu.
I want to give him 30
So this was
seconds to
ignited
respond
by
to
him.
this,
Now,
Mr.
what is the solution from DMK is what we want to know.
And okay.
Sir, I have written an article, my chief minister also clearly said, when I spoke, what is the solution? Either put a temporary freeze for 25 years, sorry, put a freeze for 25 years, or put a temporary freeze, or third, increase by 4x all the constituencies, parliament, or increase by 3x, so that, so the proportion of 7.18 has not reduced, but the problem here is none of them in BJP have clearly come and said that 7.18% representation will not reduce. They are saying the number of MPs in no state will reduce, because it won't reduce simply because nowhere the population has lowered in comparison to 1971. So the seats will only increase, but the problem is proportion that matters, and this is a very trivial issue. I will tell you, if this is likely to happen based on population, which is unless a freeze is brought about, in Uttar Pradesh it becomes 160, in Bihar it becomes 18, Rajasthan becomes 16, Gujarat it becomes 50, in Madhya Pradesh it becomes 50, Chhattisgarh plus Uttarakhand becomes 40. These 7-8 states put together is about 440 parliamentarians mid-mark. So these are exactly the states in 2014 and 2019 BJP got about 90% of the seats, which means only by getting handful of states they will be able to form government, and because we have a first past the poll system, even in these states only if they get 35% vote share they can form the government, which is only those states 35%. In other states, even if they get 0%, overall their percentage will be 20%. Theoretically it is possible that a party with 20% vote share can come to power, which is not desirable any democracy. Leave me as a DMK spokesperson, but any democracy like that will not work, it will disintegrate. You look at history or as a political science, this is not possible, and except for Gujarat, these are exactly the states that are net receivers from the union government, by which what I mean is, if you look at the budget of the Uttar Pradesh and Tamil Nadu, the major proportion of funds come from grant in aid of the union government or union taxes, because they get 3x more money than what they contribute. And if you look at Tamil Nadu or are the states that are going to lose from delimitation, are the states in which majority of their funding is their own tax money, which means that we are spending our money, right, our people, right, our people's money is being spent on our people, and then our people send money to Uttar Pradesh and they will decide on policies for these states. You get what I mean? So which is, we send their money, so we send money to them and we are spending our own money, but then they will decide what has to be done on Tamil Nadu.
So
that brings about NEP.
You are now migrating from more democratic issues to federal issues. Basically, you
no, but that is why we are opposing this.
So
That's
bringing
why
out financial issues now. So your
but
position,
intertwined.
Yeah, they are intertwined, and you are bringing those issues because they need to be a balance between the two as well. So there are democratic principles on the one hand, which is the representation, one vote, one person. That's what we know, and equality in that. But then the other issue also, as you correctly raised, a financial issue, which is federal principles are involved here. How should be, there is a finance commission which decides the devolution of funds between the state and the center, and though the next finance commission, again that report is going to come here next year. So it's going to be another point of contention, because the terms of reference still in what way they are framed and how much of the state's voice have been heard, these are questions still open. So what do you think, in which direction it is going when when we need to strike a right balance between federal principles and democratic principles?
We have not been really focusing too much on democratic principles. If we had to do that, even in the last 50 years, that one person must have equal representation in votes would have happened. We have kept it in suspension simply because some degree of federality has to be maintained, and that is why the 7.18% etc. was frozen and it is continuing. The issue is, even within the federality, we are not a fully federal country. That is what our constitution is. We can demand more rights to the states, but that is not enshrined in the constitution that we have. We can, we may not like what we have as a constitution, but our constitution is more and more leaning towards the center. That is what it is, right? And emergency, more rights were moved from state list to concurrent list, particularly education, and you can see that, right? How do you address this? How do you change this, right? Even a lot of state level political parties, they thought they could handle it by forming a coalition government at the center. But that was neither here nor there. I mean, for a certain period, that is what it appeared, like the central government will always be coalition government and the states will pull and get whatever they want, but that changed. So, that indicates that such unwritten laws may not work all the time. Right? Now, to demand a significant change in all of this, it would come only through constitutional amendment. Right? For example, the taxation rights of various states. Right. Earlier, the indirect taxes were very much within the purview of the states, and post GST, the manner in which it is collected and the uniformity of rates, etc., that has been ceded to the center. Right. That leaves you with very limited opportunity for you to tax and raise your own revenue. Right. This is a problem. Right. Some of the things that you can bring in, whether the central government, whoever it is, if you take BJP away and tomorrow Congress comes, even in a form of a coalition, they may not fully agree to whatever it is that you are looking for. You have to come up with a very well defined model saying that this grants and whatever it is that you are giving to not so well performing states in order to raise their level cannot be above a certain percentage of the total proceeds. The rest will have to be simply devolved to the states in the percentage in which they generate, not through population percentage, but simply give the money that is collected from them, keep a percentage of it for you, keep a percentage to them, and then out of the money that you have collected, give aid to select states based on certain parameters, but it cannot be more than a certain percentage.
Yeah. So, I'll come to Kovai Satyan here.
I want to add to what you had asked as a question, the democratic principles.
Yeah.
The constitution which defines the democratic and federal principles, it's now entangled between secular and religious principles. There is a direct force which is trying to redefine the entire constitution which states about the federal principles. Now, what is more prominent is about, is my religious principle right or are we in secular principles? So, the priority has moved towards it. That is why when the opposition says that there is a threat to constitution, it is well received by the people. Even a common man is able to understand, because what is happening on the ground defines what is there on the books. That is what clearly is. So, the priorities are clearly misplaced with respect to center. State like Tamil Nadu, be it Congress or BJP, we have always been treated like children of the lesser god. Whatever may be the claim, our claim could be X. What we get is X divided by 1000. Despite we progressing on each and every areas, each and every department, each and every parameters, and we set a benchmark for other states to follow, we are not rightly rewarded. That is what the claim is. So, that comes under this federal principles. When my opposition says that UP is getting more, MP is getting more, it is a fact that they are getting more, but nobody raises a voice on devolution. It is the same government which has been forced to agree to the Finance Commission plans of devolution, take 3.25 only, and we are being forced again and again, and anybody for that matter, be it AIADMK or DMK, anybody for that matter who are in power in Tamil Nadu faces the same challenge. That is what the reality is, and it will still continue to go for some more time, till such time they realize, maybe Uttar Pradesh is split into 4 different states, they will understand our pain, or maybe some other restructuring that happens, they will get to know what the pain we undergo. That is why on many issues like state rights, DMK and AIADMK, the Dravidian parties stand united and stay united.
Yeah, so he has brought in another layer of, in this discussion, very interesting point he has brought in. Basically, as you said, that as the, a center gets more powerful whenever the regional powers are on a decline, and vice versa, that is what we have seen in the politics, that is what you referred to. And there was a period when the states were actually gaining more power, and he thought it could continue, but then the reversal happened, and that is where a very interesting point he has brought in. So, when he talks about democratic principle, in this I see a very nuanced, but then there is similarity between what AIADMK, DMK is saying. So, when the debate is going in this direction, where do you see the possibility of BJP making any kind of inroads in Tamil Nadu? I am trying to slightly deviate from this because of this interesting opening he has given in this discussion. So, when there is a democratic principle involved and there is a majoritarian politics also involved, how do they navigate this route?
Is going to directly impact on the person on the street to align with the political party or not. There are many other issues, right? The charisma of a particular leader. A new political party comes from nowhere with an actor at the helm. A lot of people would simply support that party, and they are not really going into federalism, devolution of powers, taxation and distribution of taxes and so on, right. So, it is possible, for argument's sake, it is possible for a party like BJP to continue to do whatever it is doing, good or bad, and still can expand in Tamil Nadu. Is it desirable? That is a different issue. What are the principles they should go with? The one general tendency is, after all, they are RSS, that is what they will be like. I do not know, I mean, he will always say that. Whether he will say that every day or some days, we do not know that,
yeah,
right? To me, I support BJP. I do not, I am not part of the party. I do not agree with them on all the issues. I would want them to certainly change certain aspects of their image very clearly, right. If you have a personal interaction with some of the BJP leaders here in Tamil Nadu, they will tell you the same, as in some decisions taken by leaders at the center, they may not understand the regional nuances, right. A small decision here or there may have very deep ramifications in those respective states from growing in that particular state, right. And that hopefully that sensitivity will happen in the coming days. But then there is a beyond growth of a particular political party in a state, there are also some standard dharmic principles, right. What is right for a country like India? Do we simply go and do something just because we can do that today, even though it is crushing somebody in some corner, right? How sensitive we should be to the needs of all the people. Now, that is what I would call as dharmic principle, and everybody will have to go back to their religion to really ask that question, am I doing the right thing?
Okay.
Right? And that way you can certainly appeal to the both BJP as well as RSS on what is the right approach on many of these things basically.
Right. I think he wanted.
I'm getting back to the political aspect as well on this, because we've been getting reports from northern India that the DMK's allies in the India bloc are quite uneasy about the Stalins, sort of this one. You have got a theoretical support, but practically that's not there. I mean, are you really concerned about this?
No, I think which is not true. See, it's always a minimum agreement program. But having said that, we have a chief minister from Congress who's coming to this event. We have the CPM chief minister coming. We have TMC sending a representative. We have the AAP chief minister of Punjab from AAP coming. So the major parties of the India bloc are included in this, right? So I don't think, in fact, apart from the India bloc, we also have BJD sending someone. But I would like to add on to his point and then two more points. So to add on to his point on BJP making an entry into Tamil Nadu, I don't think it's feasible. I'm not saying this is a DMK spokesperson, but the fact is when DMK came to power in 1967 and then in the 70s we had a split. But who was the primary opposition party in 67 and 71? It was the Congress. So 77, 80, 84, AIADMK did win the election. But then the primary opposition party, these three elections were DMK, not Congress. So though DMK's vote share was only 55% and Congress was about 35% or 50-40 in the 60s and 70s, that drastically reduced. So this is simply because Tamil Nadu has a very strong regional identity that revolves around language and then other things. So many of the issues of the national party, right, is directly antithesis to the issues of Tamil Nadu. So BJP's main vote bank is in Hindi belt. So the issues of Hindi belt are directly in contravention to the issues of Tamil sentiments. So it's mutually exclusive. Just tell me 5 issues that will appeal to Uttar Pradesh and Tamil Nadu. So then that apart, there is also trust deficit with national parties as such. Right now we have a very mellowed down Congress, so that works in partnership with DMK. But apart from that, even that, so I am not even going there. So basically, BJP has a problem that they are a national party, and second, BJP has a problem because of their anti-federal tendencies, and thirdly comes because they do not have secular credentials, which are again not in the interest of Tamil Nadu. So I don't think the future lies for BJP in Tamil Nadu. But another important point which I want to make is on the one person one vote. See, in democracy you need one person one vote, but that is true only if the country is homogeneous. So India is an ethno-linguistically diverse country where people of different cultures have come together. It's the grandest experiment on pluralism in the world. I would even go and say world history. Even in 2000 years, 2005 years, not people of different cultures have come together and lived together. And each state or many states have even a different historically different political economy. So you can't then come and say one person one vote, because then these states, which are not just administrative units but also political units, represents a unique history and culture. So it wouldn't work, right? Maybe if Tamil Nadu alone you want to give one person one vote, yes. So one person one vote in a country like Austria, yes. But even there they have representative democracy, giving more representation, right? You're seeing the problem in Spain. Same people having same culture, same language, same food, but because of some historical differences they want a new country, Catalonia, right? So, and from there you are going, the democracy itself in India maybe is not ideal for a diverse country like India, because we have the first past the whole Westminster system, which may work for Canada or for the UK, but for India maybe not. That's why we should look into a representative democracy. Maybe practically it's not feasible, but theoretically representative democracy is something that would have worked wonders for India, because even let's say Delhi results, BJP got about 43, AAP got about 45, Congress got about 6%. So in this scenario, the Congress and AAP would have formed the government if you had a representative democracy. BJP with 33% vote share is having 310 parliamentarians. But if you had representative democracy, there would have been a coalition government. They would have needed the support of many subnational governments like Tamil Nadu or other states. So then the policy making would have been more inclusive.
Okay. So let me bring in Srinivasan sir. So I mean, I want to keep the economy aspect here and ask you this question. There's a wonderful report that's been written by Shruti Rajagopalan, the economist, on Substack, also quoted by the BBC on the delimitation piece, where she says the fundamental problem is not just about population, but if the central government wants to really clean up this mess that has happened over the years, she says you need to focus on fiscal federalism. Would you agree with this?
Yeah, so that's exactly the question which we are discussing so far. That look, in a way, what is more important, whether it is democratic principles or federal principles. So obviously, I think all that has come through that you need to strike a balance. It can't be either or. I think this seemed to be suggesting that you give democratic principles a go by and rather focus more on fiscal principles. I don't think countries live alone on dollars and rupees only. They also look for political power, and which is very significant, which is very important. I think what southern states are really worrying about, besides what they are fighting about, and constantly raising about federal issues in the form of state rights and devolution of funds, centrally assisted schemes, grants, aids, and other things. They are also constantly pointing about rights in education, rights in other issues. So those aspects are constantly, and everything cannot be boiled down to only one fact of So there is even an interesting formula which was given by Yogendra Yadav, which he was saying, let the center, let the two sides, north and south, agree upon one principle. The number of seats is frozen the same, so south is happy, and then south doesn't make so much this thing about the financial devolution. They also be more accommodative there, give more leeway. I mean, I think these things go hand in hand. You can't see either this way or that way.
Okay, so before we
far more complex than these kind of solutions. I think therefore, coming back to what our originally our forefathers who brought about constitution or thought about these issues, they had this problem of like there are so many layers. It's religion, it's linguistic, and then on the different culture. So they probably brought this different formulas, and that's what we are seeing today. And possibly let's now come to what is the more kind of solutions you gentlemen would perceive is the, I mean, if you can quickly wrap it up in what would be your solution and what would be your prescription for going forward. Right. In 2026 is not far off, and whatever you may say, that question will keep coming up. As I will start with Satya, because you may see it as a an electoral issue, but on the other hand, there is a similarity on which both AIADMK and DMK thinks when it comes to very broad principles that that look after Tamil Nadu's interest. So in your mind, what are the solutions you would recommend?
As stated by our leader, don't change the proportion. Whatever numbers you want to, the numbers can't go down less than 543, it has to stay there it is. So there is only one way out, that you have to increase the numbers. Whatever numbers you want to increase, you are free to increase it based on your delimitation act or commission or whatsoever it is. But the proportion of representation from Tamil Nadu should not change. 7.18 should remain as 7.18, no matter whatever is the exercise that you carry out in the name of delimitation.
The framers of our constitution never understood the fertility rate and how things were going to change across multiple linguistic groups, etc. And we have to change certain aspects of our constitution completely. With the two houses that we already have, we will have to probably think more in terms of the US constitution. With the two houses so structured, where one house is based on population, that's like House of Representatives, maybe Lok Sabha. Another house which is not at all dependent on population, like Senate. When recently Shashi Tharoor talked about it, I have talked about it before, and give powers related to these interstate issues to the house that deals with, which is basically like a Senate. So that's 2 members each, 3 members each. Yeah. Rajya Sabha, but not in the current form of Rajya Sabha. Change Rajya Sabha so that every state has same number of Rajya Sabha members. Okay. Right, and give things that are basically focusing on everybody. It could be general fiscal principles, general budget for the overall country, on military, on so many other things. That is not going to be state dependent. Let that be determined by that.
You also need the money bills to be passed in the Rajya Sabha.
Money bill will be, if it is going to be state devolution, it will have to be covered by the Rajya Sabha. If it is spending on military, in railways and all that, it can be handled by. So, I'm being too broad.
That's right.
You will have to really cut it into multiple pieces and then try to look at how we are looking at the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha and its relation to the states and people directly and indirectly, because this is inevitable. This freezing, etc. Today, none of these northern states with large population are really fighting, demanding, saying, increase my number of constituencies. But tomorrow they may do that. Today it is only one thing where we are saying, no, don't decrease our seats. Right? We don't want this to become huge issue between multiple states tomorrow. So now is the time that we look at all these issues. Just freezing will sort of give an indication that, I will tell you, the freezing as it is, Karnataka is a loser. You do all the calculation, right? Because unlike Tamil Nadu, Karnataka has had a considerable increase in population, not like Uttar Pradesh, but it is somewhere in between, right? If you freeze, they will lose relatively. Kerala and Tamil Nadu will be quite happy, the happiest 2 states, but every other state will have some proportional loss because of.
Even some northern states are losing.
Yes, right. I am just taking this Punjab as an example. Like immediate example is Karnataka, if they do all the calculations, right, because their population really expanded substantially. Now it's well within control, but it did expand considerably. So we can't have a simple solution. This is a Tamil Nadu point of view, nothing wrong in that, But look at all the other possibilities. I am sure we can come up with a meaningful solution there.
Right.
Mr. Dhanidharan?
See, so I'll go on from what he said. He said you could have an upper house, and the upper house can have fixed number of parliamentarians. It was idea even we thought about, but eventually the problem with the constitution as such, the states are not indestructible units like in the US. So then what the Modi government might do, right, the trust deficit I have is that split Uttar Pradesh into 4, split Madhya Pradesh into 3, and then now split here, which means then the imbalance will again go. Gerrymandering will happen. That's a problem. So then that will have to be coupled with the fact that states become indestructible units. So that's one. So again, with regards to solution, I have already told solution. But what I would like to say is to remind the people in the union government is that more uniformity does not mean more unity. More uniformity brings destruction to the nation. And the last line was not told by me or my party leaders, but was told by Modi's forefather, Goalkar. He wrote it in 1970. So and he even said it to all the countries in advice. More uniformity only brings destruction to the nation. Neighboring country Sri Lanka is an example. So more diversity also means more unity. Actually, it means more unity. Just because we speak Tamil here and eat chicken, and in Kerala they eat beef, doesn't mean that they become less Indians than people in Gujarat or Uttar Pradesh. They could be more Indian, or people in Manipur could be more Indian than people in Uttar Pradesh also. It's not that you need to have the same one language or one religion or one culture. All of them can coexist under the concept of India, and that's the true victory for pluralism and for democracy in the world, not just India.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. No less riveting talking to each one of you. Thank you. That's a wrap.